Greek myths recount that Icarus fashioned wings as a way to get above and out of a labyrinth, mortals have relied on platform shoes instead. Platforms can be used practically as a form of avoidance or to be better seen. Sometimes aesthetics are the driving force. Often those high-soled shoes are used to communicate social standing. Hello, I'm your host Hamish Bowles, and I'm here to tell you everything you need to know about platform shoes. Ages before platform shoes became popular in the 1930s, raised platform soles were being used the world over, from Venice to Shanghai. Middle Eastern cabs and medieval patterns were largely functional attire used to keep feet above water in bathhouses and the filth of city streets. In Japan, getters were worn by workers in muddy fields and were also part of the costume and performances of geishas. Practicality and posturing came together in the form of chopins and zoccoli in Italy in the 16th and 17th centuries. They lifted the wearer from the street, accommodated longer hems, made one look infinitely taller, but they also changed a woman's gait, sometimes forcing them to rely on others even to keep upright. Fast forward to the 1930s, where, in Europe, escapism in fashion functioned as a respite from a war that seemed almost inevitable. Around 1937, platforms, which had been worn at fancy beach resorts, started making the transition onto sidewalks, dance floors and hotel lobbies. In the transition from country to city, platforms were bejeweled and bedazzled until, Vogue noted, they looked more like trinkets than shoes. They had the benefit, the magazine wrote earlier, of being springy, light, comfortable, and adding 3 inches to the length of your legs. Elsa Schiaparelli, herself petite in stature, was showing platforms in Paris around the time that Salvatore Ferragamo, who worked in Florence, designed a rainbow wedge for Judy Garland. Materials were scarce, and the soles of these shoes were made of cork and then covered in suede. Platforms delivered glamour on the screen too, where many people flocked to forget their worries for an hour. On the street, they balanced the broad-shouldered and shorter-skirted silhouette that women adopted as their kind of uniform, both as a necessity, as fabric was rationed, and as a show of strength. Since becoming part of the shoe wardrobe, platforms have always been in play, if not always in the spotlight. They took another star turn in the liberated and gender-fluid 1970s. Worn by men and women, they lifted the wearer all the better to complement the flared-legged silhouette of the time. Shoemaker Terry de Havilland's now classic Margot was launched in 1973, the same year that the New York Dolls indulged in some campy platform glamour on the cover of their eponymous album. Platforms could accommodate many genres of style, from Elton John's camp glam eccentricities to the mock goth of Kiss. Disco ducks also took to them like water. Wearing platforms in the 1970s was a way to fit in. Not so in the following decade. So-called social X-rays liked their stilettos as sharp as their figures. In this era, platforms were taken up by youth subcultures to dramatically set the wearer apart from the mainstream. Inspired by Japanese footwear, perennial nonconformist Vivienne Westwood designed her rocking horse shoe to create movement in the mini crinnies featured in her spring 1985 show. 8 years later, in the tumble that was broadcast around the world, Naomi Campbell took a misstep in Westwood's super-elevated ghillie. Westwood's use of elevated shoes, note the curators at the Victoria and Albert Museum, was part of the designer's quest to generate a new form of elegance for the modern age. Traditional markers of elegance fell by the wayside in the early aughts. Introduced in 2001, lucite-heeled pleaser platforms delivered kink. At the same time, a new generation was moving in a more casual direction. Stacked flip-flops were a thing, as were the cartoonish buffaloes worn by the bubbly Spice Girls. In the mid-2000s, platforms returned to the runway. In 2006, Nicolas Ghesquière, then at Balenciaga, designed a pair of super-high clodhopper boots that looked vaguely orthopedic. In October 2009, Lady Gaga launched a new single at the same time that Alexander McQueen was set to air his Atlantis collection on Show Studio, and the internet crashed. When the smoke cleared, what remained standing was the designer's teetering and hoof-like armadillo boot. Animalistic and futuristic at the same time, it soon became a Gaga trademark. The late 2010s set off a period of great creativity and extremes in platform design. Lady Gaga wore 24-inch platforms to the 2011 CFDA Awards. In comparison, the lacquer red models Phoebe Philo showed at Celine for 2012 were positively demure. 2016 saw Gucci show rainbow-stacked shoes and Marc Jacobs committing to the buckled Kiki style in patent leather. 2 years later at Balenciaga, Demna Gvasalia played the pretty ugly card himself in the form of platform Crocs that set the internet a Twitter. The 2020s have so far been a platform palooza. At Valentino, Pierpaolo Piccioli further elevated his couture collection with platforms. They've also shown up in Daniel Roseberry's collections for Schiaparelli. In ready-to-wear, Versace's Medusa platform has an energy that connects back to the poppy fun of Lady Miss Schier in Fluvogs. Rick Owens' cult Kiss boots come with a dose of nostalgia as well. In an age of individualism, it makes sense that platforms should come to the fore. They literally set the wearer apart from the crowd.